The whispering clock. The rain hammered against my apartment window as I poured myself another cup of coffee. I was used to the solitude of late-night writing sessions, but this night felt different off, somehow. The antique clock in the corner ticked with an almost human rhythm, its pendulum swinging like a heartbeat. I had inherited the clock from my late uncle, a man shrouded in mystery and scandal. It had been silent for years, until tonight. At precisely midnight, the clock chimed. Not just once or twice, but 13 times. I stared at it, my heart pounding in my chest. The chime reverberated through the room, and with it, a faint whisper seemed to echo in the air. It wasn't the creak of old gears or the wind outside, it was a woman's voice, soft but insistent. "Help me," I froze. Was I imagining things? Before I could process what had happened, a slip of paper fluttered out from behind the clock's face. My hands trembled as I picked it up. Scrawled in shaky handwriting were 2 words. Find Evelyn. Who was Evelyn, and why was a clock urging me to find her? The clock loomed in the corner, an almost menacing presence as I delved into the mystery. My uncle had always been an enigma historian with a taste for the macabre. I remembered his study, a labyrinth of dusty books and oddities, as the perfect place to start. The name Evelyn felt distant, like an echo from another time. In his study, I unearthed an old photograph wedged between the pages of a journal. The sepia-toned image showed a young woman with striking green eyes, standing beside my uncle. Her face was radiant, but there was a tension in her posture, a stiffness that unsettled me. The back of the photograph was labeled with a name and date. Evelyn Hartley, October 17, 1982. I researched her name and discovered a grim tale. Evelyn had been a promising artist in her 20s, a free spirit known for her vivid landscapes. She vanished on October 17, 1982, last seen at a gallery event hosted by my uncle. The police suspected foul play but could never prove anything. My uncle's name was mentioned briefly in the reports, but the trail went cold. My uncle's journal painted a darker picture. Among the mundane entries about his historical research were pages that spiraled into obsession. He described Evelyn as his muse, a beacon of inspiration he couldn't live without. But Evelyn's diary, tucked within the same trunk, revealed her perspective. She had grown wary of my uncle's intensity. Her final entry read, "I'm afraid of him. He's not who I thought he was. I need to leave after tonight." The clock chimed again as I read those words, sending shivers down my spine. This time, it chimed 7 times, then 5, a pattern. I realized it was Morse code, spelling out help. I couldn't ignore the pull any longer. The whispers grew louder, guiding me to Evelyn's last known location, a sprawling Victorian house my uncle had owned. Abandoned for decades, it stood in eerie silence. The floorboards creaked beneath my feet as I explored. The house felt alive, as if it were holding its breath. In the basement, I found a rusted trunk. Inside was a blood-stained scarf, a lock of hair, and a ring engraved with Evelyn's initials. As I reached for the ring, a surge of cold air wrapped around me, and the whispers turned into a wail. He pushed me. The truth unfolded like a terrible play. Evelyn had been at my uncle's gallery event that fateful night. She planned to leave him afterward, fearing his obsessive behavior. But my uncle had followed her to the Victorian house, begging her to stay. When she refused, an argument broke out. In a fit of rage, he shoved her. She fell, hitting her head against the sharp edge of the fireplace mantel. Panicked, my uncle realized she was dead. Desperate to cover his crime, he buried her body in the basement. His guilt consumed him, manifesting in the clock he had gifted her before her death, a keepsake of their shared time, now a conduit for her restless spirit. I returned to the basement, where the whispers became a deafening roar. I knew what I had to do. With trembling hands, I pried up the floorboards and unearthed Evelyn's remains. Her skeletal hand clutched a small locket, its engraving barely legible, "Forever free." The whisper softened, then faded. I felt a profound sense of relief, as if a heavy weight had been lifted from the house itself. I arranged for Evelyn to be buried in her family's plot, giving her the peace she had long been denied. When I returned home, the clock was silent. Its pendulum no longer swung, and its face seemed dull, lifeless. I knew Evelyn's spirit had moved on, but the clock remained as a grim reminder of the secrets people carry and the lives they destroy in the process. As I locked the door to my uncle's study for the final time, a faint chime echoed in the distance. Not from the clock in my apartment, but from somewhere far away. A farewell, a thank you, but deep down, I couldn't help wondering. How many other secrets had my uncle taken to his grave? The end.